I think in the end, every church wants to be a place where the Spirit moves, where lives are fully lived, where you hear the sound of children running in the halls, and where the Lord is served.
I grew up at Memorial Roads. I've been there 47 years, believe it or not. One thing we did in junior high and high school is we kept prayer records. Longest prayer, shortest prayer.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And we kept records for sitting down prayer, standing up prayer. Kind of like indoor and outdoor track, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Malcolm led a standing up prayer for 11 minutes, which crushed even the sitting records at that time. On the short side, at Sunday nights, they would always have one of the young guys lead the prayer. And so at that time, the shortest prayer had been 13 seconds. So I was leading the prayer that night, and I told my friends, I got this one. So I led a 7-second closing prayer, and no one challenged it after that.
I could never live without you by my side. But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong, that I grew strong. And I learned how to get along, and now you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you the key. If I'd have known for just 1 second that you'd be back to under me. And oh, now go, walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to break me with goodbye? You think I crumble? You think I lay down and die?
And that's all horrible, so don't use any of that.
It's not going to offend me if you don't use any of it.
Can't wait to see how you cut that out.
Well, I'm Bobby Chapman, and pretty sure we came here around winter of 2011.
My name is Joe Crawford, and I started attending Memorial Road in 1992.
My name is Gayla Murphy, and I've been at Memorial Road 25 years.
Been here going on 8 years. We came here 7 years
Jane
ago
Bannister.
last
I began
November.
attending here in the spring of 1965.
I was first a member here back when I was in college at OC.
Jeff Koval, we've been attending Memorial Road since 2007.
Okay, my name is Charles Cleek, and we came to Memorial Road in 1975.
I think I've been going to church here for about 25 years.
My name's Brandon Gaynor, and my family and I started attending Memorial Road in November of 2010.
We've been here since January of 2011.
My name is Steve Thomas, and I've been at Memorial Road for over 30 years. 20 years.
Mark and I, my husband Mark and I, have been members at Memorial Road two different times.
My name is Renee Knox, and I've been at Memorial Road since about 1999.
My name is Michael Garner, and my wife Terry and I have been at Memorial Road for almost 20 years.
Bob Elliott, and I've been here since 1998.
Well, when we came to Oklahoma City, I was in some of the initial planning before the congregation started. It was kind of thrilling to think that we were going to have a part in starting a new congregation.
Well, the students on campus, many of them didn't have cars at that time, and we thought they really needed a place to worship.
They first met here in Cogswell Alexander Hall. Men and women who are many still with us today.
We were meeting in Cogswell Alexander Hall, and we just had 25. And when you see what's happened over the years, it is amazing. We later had to go to the cafeteria. We had, of course, a small group, but we had 16 Bible studies going on at that time, and we were scattered all over the campus for our Bible classes.
And we had our classrooms in the various classrooms of the college, so I taught from about 1 to 3 grades.
We did the communion, and we had to do it in the biology lab because that's the only place that had a icebox. And putting together communion while all the frogs in jars watched you was not a little unnerving, but that was the kind of atmosphere it was.
We were meeting, somehow they assigned the teen class, the youth group, to the chemistry lab. And that right there is potential for disaster. But on this particular night, I recall, they left the Bunsen burners out. And so we had fun playing with the Bunsen burners prior to class starting and probably during.
I think I may have been about
25. It was the first opportunity I'd ever had to participate in men's business meetings. We didn't have elders at that time.
When we placed membership, Tom Beam found out pretty soon that I was an accountant. And the first budget I put together was for $44,500 for the annual budget, which is less than half of our weekly contribution now.
And when Joanne and I joined the congregation here, the plans were being made for the first building, which was what we now call Fellowship Central.
Dad had bought 40 acres, the northeast corner of Eastern and Memorial, at an auction. The southeast 10 acres of that property was what the original church site sat on. I used to hunt, on that property when Oklahoma Christian first got here. That was way out in the country.
Kind of interesting that we started with that, and then we added on the east, and then we added on the west, and then we added on the north, and then we added on the south. So we've added all the way around that several times, and it's worked out very well that we've kept using those spaces.
A lot of people think that this church is its building, but this church is its people.
I think we probably saw our greatest growth around 1991. That seemed to be when things really took off.
When I started here 13 years ago, we had 42 young people in the youth group.
One of the most interesting things about this congregation is that we have grown by 7% each year for the last 3 years.
I'm standing in the foyer of our new building addition. This building addition is an outward sign of the tremendous amount of growth that we have experienced here at Memorial Road, not only this year, but really for the past 4 years.
Back in 1994, we were averaging about 1,200 in our worship services, but we had projected that it looked as if there would probably be, if the Lord willed, some 1,500 folks attending worship services in 1997.
With these challenges in mind, the first of those questions was whether we should build or not, that perhaps the most important. The second question was, if we decided to build, what would be the size and the scope of the project?
The building process actually began in the summer of 1995. The congregation was asked to go out to the east parking lot. There, an outline of the soon-to-be-built auditorium was there for all of us to see, and the entire congregation stood on that outline. Even some of the young children brought their shovels so that they could dig into the dirt.
Then we turned right around, and in 2002, found ourselves out of classroom space, building a student life center, and will free up classrooms here.
To me, this building is simply a tool to win people for Christ.
The name that we picked was the Summit.
I've never climbed any mountains, but I have read some books about mountain climbers. But what really is going to make evangelism happen is the people that are inside that building.
But now, with displacing our preschoolers into adult space, we've had to move a lot of adults into the Summit.
But to have an early education wing all to itself, it would just be an incredible enhancement to our program.
And they need this new building.
And at Memorial Road, education and Bible learning and putting into practice the things that we learn in our Bible classes has always been very important.
There's a lot of great people who have crafted the children's ministry program to be what it is. Memorial Road is probably one of the leading churches of Christ in the nation, in the world, in children's ministry. We have a legacy here at Memorial Road to uphold, to teach our children well, and to instill in them the love of God. And I feel that responsibility every time I walk into a classroom. And I just told Judy Lashley, I am sitting in the shade of trees I did not plant in children's ministry, because we have a great heritage here of children's ministry, and I'm privileged to be a part of it, and I thank you for that opportunity.
Do you remember that night you were talking about Cameron? He was always the star of the VBS plays. And I remember one year James Waugh, I don't know why, but Joanne outfitted him in a wig that made him look like like Tom Jones in his Las Vegas days. It was really weird. But Cameron had this skit. Usually we got our best skit from the weekdays and did it on Wednesday night for all the adults. Well, Cameron was, I guess he was John the Baptist maybe, and he was going to baptize Jesus. During the day, the guys thought they'd get Cameron, and so they emptied every single ice machine at the church into the baptistry. I mean, it was 3 feet deep in ice cubes. And I'll never forget Cameron, he wades down to that baptistry, he goes, whoa! The river's cold tonight.
My name is Jackson Tate, and my family joined Memorial Road in September 2012.
My name's Preston Gant. I've been here 5 years.
My name is Gina Arter, and I've been at Memorial Road for 12 years.
I'm Jennifer Ray. I've been at Memorial Road since about 2002. I was invited by a good friend of mine in high school, and I just fell in love with the youth group here and how involved everyone was, and I've been here ever since.
Our student ministries have consistently drawn people to the Lord here at Memorial Road, and we're so blessed to have the youth and campus ministries that we do.
It's really hard to become a truly faithful adult member of a church. And so these are those years where they can come together, where we can collaborate, where we can grow, we can question, we can even change, and then go out from there and bless the whole world.
Can we do confessions?
Sure. You need to, baby.
So when I was in the youth group, we went through 3 youth ministers in a very short amount of time. I don't even want to say how short, it's embarrassing. Not me. My friends were.
Yeah.
But I just want to say to Bill Thompson, we are really sorry.
Poor Bill.
We were banking on grace far before the Church of Christ was preaching it.
My name is Tishime Vetieri, and I started attending Memorial back in 2010 in August.
I came from China, and I have been here for, I think, 2 years.
I have been in Memorial Road a little more than 10 years.
There's not a lot of support for missions from this area at that time, and that's one decision we made, that we spend at least 50% of our income for missions. I don't know that we do that yet, but we're working on it.
When we started the missions contribution, our first year in 2003 was just a very exciting time. Many people thought we couldn't do a special missions contribution. People were concerned if we would even come close to meeting our goal, and we surpassed it. And that first missions Sunday and our special contribution proved that Memorial Road Church really wants to be involved in missions. So I can't imagine where we would be without these special missions contributions.
Throughout the years, there have only been 5 preachers.
They're highly paid.
Preaching has always been an important part of this church.
Well, Wilburn Hill was our first preacher.
He was just such a stable, wonderful Christian man.
And we were talking a little while ago about who followed. I think it may have been Phil Watson. And then later, Morris Thurman.
And Morris Thurman preached for 16 years in this congregation and did a magnificent job.
I sat as a kid and listened to Howard Norton just boldly proclaim from the old auditorium in Fellowship Central.
I have specific memories of Howard preaching a series on the great 3:16 passages, John 3:16, Colossians 3:16, 1 Timothy 3:16. I didn't even know all those tied together, but I have this memory of this sermon series did.
And then I've learned so much from Kent over the years. I took classes in college with Kent, and he's been such a big mentor as far as how to speak and things like that. And then obviously Mark has just been my biggest fan and support. And so sometimes it still doesn't seem real that that the elders and that God has asked me to fill in these huge shoes.
And I just love listening to Phil weave Scripture together into a cohesive point. What a blessing to be blessed by the preachers we have at Memorial Road.
Howard Norton had quit, gone over to the school, and so we were looking for a preacher. And so they found this associate by the name of Craig Hood who was the associate minister at Broadway in Lubbock. And so Dr. Baird was still alive, and he said, "Hey, I think you and James need to meet Craig down in Dallas at the Embassy Suites and just spend the weekend with him."
But wasn't much of that story happening in a hot tub?
It was happening. I thought you were, and I was trying to.
It was a great Wolf Lodge. Yes. I just made it a little more awkward. All the kids around.
Craig Hood wanted to spend most of the time in a hot tub, which I felt very uncomfortable doing. Well, this church has meant everything to me. I came from Guthrie, Oklahoma, and I was 26. The church nurtured me, encouraged me, helped me, blessed me in so many wonderful, wonderful ways. But the great thing about Memorial Road is it's full of cleansed sinners. And I think that's why people continue to come to Memorial Road. I think that's why a lot of people came to Memorial Road. It's a grace-filled church, and I will love it until I die.
Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, early in the morning, our song shall rise to Thee. Holy, 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 merciful and mighty, God in three persons, blessed Trinity.
Where would you go to find people more interested in studying the Word of God, people more devoted to prayer life, people more devoted to helping others, people more devoted to preaching the gospel? Where would you go to find people more devoted than so many of the people who are right here in this congregation?
First of all, I wasn't baptized until I was close to 40 years old. Since then, being in this place has been such a blessing to me and my family that your life has to be changed for the better. You couldn't come here and not do better.
If we truly understand that God is supreme and that seeking Him and His kingdom is the first order of business in our personal lives, I am highly persuaded that we would just be amazed at the things we could be doing and will be doing for the Lord.
And we want to share that news. And we want to use that knowledge, Father, to change our lives, to reform our hearts, and to become people that reflect your divine goodness.
Being in classes, being in worship, singing together, the music, I love the music. I love worshiping together and having the time that we do that is so precious.
I can't really think of anything profound, but Memorial Road means everything to me.
It has meant a lot. It has meant a lot.
There's so much love here. There is a place for everybody here.
I think in the end, every church wants to be a place where the Spirit moves. Where lives are fully lived. Where you hear the sound of children running in the halls. And where the Lord is served. And ultimately, this place is a collection of souls who came together for a time. Some for a long time, some for a short time. Some taught, some preached. Some worked without being seen. And some came to know Christ. But long after the last one of us goes through these doors, work will still be happening. And those of us who are part of this body will all be together in another place forever.